The automated ball and strike era has now come, but does Major League Baseball have some bigger fish to fry? All on today's 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Let's get into her.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast. Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversation going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans. So sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT. That's 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great podcasts and articles that are out there on a daily basis. Lots being updated there. And thank you to everybody who's joined us on yesterday's show talking about some Olympic hockey and Sidney Crosby, and everybody who likes and retweets and listens. Happy Family Day to all those who are observing across Canada and different parts of the world, and happy President's Day to everybody down south at the time of this recording. Got some this was going to do this at the end of the show, but I'll do it now. I'll talk about Family Day a little bit. Got some different news. It turned out to be better news, not good news, but better news than we were hoping about my brother. He's got he's been having some medical problems with his lungs, and we were all worried about the dreaded C word. It came out to be something else. It's not a curable disease, but it's not a fatal disease. And so for all those out there in podcast land and on YouTube, make sure you send out a good thought to my brother Mike for going through what he's going to go through. He'll make it through. It's not a deadly thing, but it's going to alter his life for the rest of his life with his lungs and stuff. But he'll get through it, and it's got to change some things up. And we can't sit around and sit in a sports bar and drink beer like we used to, but we'll be able to have one one day soon. So Mike, here's to you, and tip of the cap to my brother Mike for going through what he's going through. Anyways, as I was saying at the offset of the show, the automated ball and strike era is now upon us in Major League Baseball. I've kind of forgot all about it during the offseason. It wasn't really a major thing, and it probably still shouldn't be, considering it's only two pitches that they can challenge, and it's not a like they were doing in the American Association, I think it was, where every pitch was being called by a robo-ump. It's a bit of a change, but I think it's kind of a bit of a nothing burger. Personally, it's two pitches. Can two pitches change the outcome of a game? Yes, but there's a lot of things that can change the outcome of a baseball game that aren't just two pitches that might be a quarter inch off the strike zone. I think it's a lot of ado about nothing. I think it's a lot of chit chat about nothing. I think baseball's got a lot more problems than a couple of pitches throughout a game. Yes, you can keep your challenge if you get it right, and but it's not the major drastic change that people are making it out to be. And the old men get off my lawn waving their cane. They can just sit back down and watch a game, have a drink, and not worry about a major blasphemous change across Major League Baseball. Is it needed? I don't think it is. I think it's kind of like I said, a big nothing burger when it comes down to it. If it was every pitch and everything was being called, then you would have getting rid of the human element of a baseball game and the human element of officials and like it's already done with outs and safes and on the bases and fair and fouls and those kind of things, which I'm not a huge fan of being an umpire myself, but I get it. I've always kind of understood it. There's been some egregious calls in the past. You think of the Angel Hernandez, they hate to just beat on him, but the Eric Gray strike zone, I think it was the 97 World Series. You talk about all kinds of different calls. Who was the guy? Jim Joyce with the bad call with Galarraga as the pitcher in 99 or 2010, I think that one was. Yeah, Armando Galarraga, Jim Joyce blew in the call with 2 outs. Joyce should have just called him out, and we would have been done with it. So I get it that there are some things. One blown call when it's out or a safe can change the outcome of a game, and I totally understand that. And with the betting side of things, that how they have that with Major League Baseball being behind betting, that they kind of have to have it to make sure that the betting lines stay where they are. I get it that it's if it was my team getting screwed on an out or a safe call at first base to end a game and end your championship hopes, whatever it might be, well, there it is. But we've said it before and said it again. And two guys of sports news or two dudes of sports news, and Jim at the Fan of the Van, and Aaron and Lou and everybody else has said it, that if you don't want an umpire to ruin your season, don't let an umpire ruin your season. If it comes down to one out, you probably weren't going to win anyways. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. But this one pitch here, one pitch there, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference unless it's strike three of the bottom of the ninth, and then that kind of happens. But don't get to that point. Like, you think about how many missed pitches that there are throughout a baseball game, and it doesn't happen as much as it used to. But you think about how many guys are swinging through pitches, swing and miss, or you foul one off. They probably should have taken the yard or got jammed on or whatever it might have been. There's a lot more problems. There's a lot more. No, I shouldn't say problems. There's a lot more mistakes when it comes to a hitter not hitting a cock shot that he probably should have hit 420 feet. He swings and misses on a breaking ball. He swings at one in the dirt, or he swings at a pitch that he probably shouldn't have been hacking at in the first place. There's a lot more pitches that go missed by batters and get missed by umpires. So I don't know what this grand epidemic is that people are saying that umpires are the worst thing in the world. Are there umpires who have been bad in the past? Yeah. But there's a lot more guys who hit 210 now than hit 300. There's a lot more guys who swing and miss through things because pitchers are throwing so hard in there. But I don't think that it's changing the umpire is going to exactly, or changing this automated balls and strike thing is going to. I think it's more of a look over here thing for baseball than it is for having anything to do with the actual game. I think a bigger problem that's not getting talked about enough, and it was brought up in November, and it's been brought up a little bit this past weekend, is Emmanuel Clase with the Cleveland Guardians and his betting deals. He's making $5,000. He's supposed to make $20 million this year. He's not going to. Actually, I think he's on paid leave. So he'll be okay unless he gets indicted and he gets thrown in jail, and then they find a way to not pay him. I think that's if he's guilty, then he shouldn't be getting paid, and he should be banned from baseball just like Pete Rose was. But I think that's a bigger issue right now, is how often is this happening, where you're fixing a pitch here or there and everything else. Like I read a bit on it today, and you forgot about the couple pitches he was supposed to throw for balls. There was one betting thing. I was thinking it was against the Dodgers. I think it doesn't much matter, but the batter swung and missed at a pitch in the dirt. And so he didn't get that $5,000 massive payout, right? And the guys were only making, like, these batters were only making $450,000. So it wasn't well, that's big money, but it wasn't like it was a massive windfall. It's life-changing money for a year, but you can blow through $450,000 in an afternoon, buy one house maybe. Probably can't even buy a house anymore. But I think that's a bigger thing that Major League Baseball swept under the rug a little bit and hasn't brought it up because their marriage with the betting, who are BetMGM or whoever it might be, Bet365. There's so many of them that's kind of a bigger thing that they've kind of kept hush hush. Now they're talking about, like was brought up today by a writer from Chicago, that they're going to be taking not the batter square, the pitch square off TV screens, but they're going to be taking off whether it was a ball or a strike, because they don't want people, and they're going to be doing it actually in Major League ballparks as well, because they don't want that to be a thing that a pitcher or batter can look up onto the video board and see there was pitcher strike, pat his head, and get the challenge right away. Because I think it's only a batter. Yeah, it's a batter, a catcher, and a pitcher can challenge a pitch. It's not somebody. It can't be challenged by a manager or anybody. So they're taking that off the screens, which is kind of crappy for people who are at the game. It's a thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of it. I've said, like, I talked about it before, how Aaron, if you watch a different Yankee broadcast, where, like, say they're playing the Detroit Tigers, so you got the broadcast on the Tigers network, then you got on the Yes network. There's two different size boxes depending on what channel that you're watching, what feed you got on. So those weren't always exactly the most truthful things. You look at some pitches, and what are we talking about here? We're talking a 1/4 inch, 6 millimeters here in Canada. If you're operating on those lines where 6 millimeters or a quarter inch is make or break your season, or making or breaking your outing, you got some bigger fish to fry. There was pitchers who used to live on that part of the plate and would get the call. You think Greg Maddux, like he was a surgeon out there. But if a batter's seeing that going by him at 102 miles an hour, you weren't going to hit it anyways, right? So I think the whole thing is getting blown way out of proportion. I think we got to take a step back and realize that baseball is an imperfect game, and it's a game of mistakes by not only the players and the coaches and the managers but it also includes the umpires. You want to get as many pitches as you can right. These guys don't go out there to do a crappy job. They want to get everything right. Like when an umpire blows a call, not so much on a ball or a strike, but like on an out or a safe, and they kick a call and they know they got it wrong. Like Jim Joyce felt horrible getting that call wrong. Why he didn't just have a feel for the game that day and just call the guy out, go and have a beer and call it good, I have no idea. Because this was before there was instant replay. No one would have said a word. No one would have said a word. And when it comes to balls and strikes, when an umpire sees that their grade was 85% or whatever it might have been, they probably aren't going to get a job next year. So they're trying to do a good job. They're not trying to blow it. It's human nature. These guys are throwing so freaking hard now. It's almost impossible to see it. And it's not an excuse. You got to up your game. You got to get better at your job as an official as the speed of the game increases. But we're talking a quarter inch here. Justin Verlander was talking about, yesterday, I think it was I was listening to it on Twitter a little bit, where he was talking about the problems with, pitchers getting hurt and everything else. And he kind of talked about it that way as well, that pitchers have to have such pinpoint accuracy now because of this. And in the minor leagues, because they've been testing this ABS thing for a long time, and now they're all throwing 100 miles an hour, and it's still not enough. And then the change of the baseballs, and if you're not getting that call off just through the corner of the plate, and you're having to go out and throw another two or three pitches because you didn't get the strike three, and the change of the baseballs that are flying out of the ballpark at a crazy amount now. That guys are hitting 220, but out of their 220, they're hitting 32 home runs, and so that's a major problem. And so that's another thing that Major League Baseball's really got to look at is the way the game is played. And we talked about, I was on Ryan's show, Captain's Corner, a few weeks ago, and talking about it's just that's like the game is either it's such a feast or famine thing, with strikeouts at a crazy rate because they're not getting that call off the plate. So it's ball like it's just crazy how it's all goes hand in hand. But I think they really got to take a look at this Clase thing a lot more and wonder how much more this is going on, and how many different avenues can these guys infiltrate baseball. To make an error in the first, or not have a little extra effort to get to a squibbler down third base, it wouldn't be hard. Like, you can't dictate how many the balls can hit to you. So that's one way that baseball kind of has it, that they don't have to worry about betting as much. But for a guy to strike out twice and go 2 for 4, he still went 2 for 4. That's a damn good day. But strike out the other 2 times, they got to take a look at that, see how often that's happening, because I'm striking out so relevant now, or prevalent, I guess is the proper terminology. You just wonder why it's always like how often it's been happening. This Clase thing has really opened up a can of worms. It's not being talked about at all. At all. Like, it is quiet as quiet could be. And that's a major problem, because they are so in bed with this. And you just hope that it's not an epidemic per se. You hope that the great game of baseball hasn't been infiltrated so much that every team's got 1 or 2 guys doing this. It wouldn't be hard. You tell me to throw a ball, I could throw like nobody on base. It's not going to affect the game. Guy could launch one to the backstop once a game and just says he's got the yips. Boop, that one got away. If you want it, like, you got nobody on base and you want me to throw a slider in the dirt and hope the guy doesn't swing, I'll make sure he doesn't swing. I'll make it so obvious this thing's not going to be a strike. And you hope that it's not at a point where that's going to ruin baseball. and how baseball hasn't talked about it, and how they kind of getting in front of this ABS thing a little bit, talking about it. They had different teams have their meetings and what they were going to do and how they were going to approach it. And I think that's just a lot of hoo-ha. Look over here, look over here. I don't think it's a problem. Like I think it's going to be such a nothing burger. So it's going to be a part of the game where they challenge the pitch. I think they had it in the All-Star game last year, and it went by pretty quick. Like it wasn't a major problem. I think the problem you got with technology now is sometimes how long these challenges take at first base. If you can't change your mind in half a second, like it should take no longer. Like it's walking over to the headset should be the longest part of it. If you haven't figured it out by that point, and usually when they're challenging it, you know you got it wrong, right? And umpires, it's pretty good percentage rate that like they know they got their guys in the dugout, they got their guys upstairs, and the umpires probably know ahead of time they got something wrong. I think that's a bigger problem, how that slows the game down. Like that's kind of the bigger thing. But everything else about baseball, I think is fine. I don't think that they need to go to this ABS for every pitch, and I hope it never gets to that point. I hope it never ever gets to that point, because the game of baseball is supposed to be imperfect from the time you start. It's supposed to be imperfect from you start off in T-ball right on through the major leagues to the World Series. You think about all the mistakes that were made in that great World Series that we had back in October and then into November this past season. All the mistakes that happened throughout the game, and then all the things that happened throughout the game made that such a great World Series. And all the little human errors and mental errors and things that happened. Like you remember the 2015, everybody talks about the bat flip of Bautista, but I think it was Beltre was the third baseman for the Rangers there. And it was error after error after error that led to all that. So it's all those imperfections of the game of baseball that get you to that point that shows you, okay, here we are, right? And that's where we're getting at. And to make this to make everything have to be exactly right, that's what will be wrong with baseball. And it's happening with every sport. The analytics and the nerds and the dorks and everything else are making sure that the ins and the ups and downs are making it an imperfect game or a perfect game. And don't do this and don't do that. And everything has to be in the strike zone, and you have to be this fast and on. It's kind of, that's what's taking away from the game. It's not because whoever umpire missed two pitches that were a quarter inch off the plate. That's nothing, because guys will swing through it a lot more than the umpire is going to miss it. Guys will pop one up on the one that they should have hit to 200 or 450 feet, like I said earlier. The players are going to make mistakes. The umpires are going to make mistakes. And let's let that happen. Let's not change too much of things. Let's not change things where it's the end all and beat all is every play, because that would be crappy. Like, could you imagine it was the other way around, and you think you win a World Series and the call is overturned? You think about going the other way around. Like everybody talks about if your team lost because of it. Let's say if you thought you won one, and then all of a sudden that's taken away from you on a change pitch or a change call, or a fastball gets thrown by a guy in the bottom of the ninth, and it's quarter inch off the plate. Umpire rings the guy up on strike three. Place goes crazy. The batter pats his helmet, and then all of a sudden the call gets overturned. It's ball four to walk a guy in. Think about that kind of a change. Nobody wants to see that. That would be something that would go down the history. I just thought of that. I'm pretty smart here on a Monday morning on Family Day, but that's something that would change baseball a lot more than anything else. Going from one extreme to the other on a pitch that's a quarter inch off the plate, no one's going to know the difference. And if a batter tells you that they can see that, they're a lot better human being than I am. Things going 102 miles an hour, dancing and prancing and romancing all over the place, and it's a quarter inch or even an eighth of an inch off the plate, and you saw that. You're full of it. You're absolutely full of it. Yeah, imagine how that would change the game of baseball, or that game in Game 7 of World Series. Bases loaded, 3-2 pitch goes by, umpire rings guy up. It's called the other way around because of a challenge. You would have absolute bedlam and mayhem, and it wouldn't be the umpire's fault, because that's the system. That's the way the game is. That's the rules that baseball has decided that they're going with. And I don't understand why they feel the need to go for this. Could a kid's contract be screwed because of two pitches? Maybe. Could a kid's future, if he's just up for the minor leagues and he's had a tough day at the plate, and all of a sudden he's instead of being one for 1 for 4, he's 1 for 5. Or 0 for the day because of a pitch that was just off the plate that he thought was a ball, and they go upstairs and they call it a strike. Like there's so many variables that come to it, but I think just leave the game as it is and leave it imperfect. Don't keep changing things. The one thing that they do need to change, I've talked about this a number of times. I watched a lot of college baseball over the weekend. Is having the 2 bases like they do in softball. Why mix slow pitch can figure that out? Having the 2 bases, an orange one or a blue one, and then a white one in fair territory, and just have that. That would create a lot of the injuries and everything. So that's the one thing they could probably change. But if they keep changing anymore, they're not going to lose me, obviously. They're not going to lose me as a fan. I'm still going to watch the games. I'm going to be cheer for my team and everything else. But you don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to sports all the time. You don't need to, and that goes with all sports. You don't need to reinvent the rules. You don't need to change just leave them as they are. Balls, strikes, outs, and safe. That's the gist of a baseball game. And like how many runs get scored, and if a guy hits a home run or a guy strikes out, or how many errors are made, that's the gist of a baseball game. Let's not make it so hard that the layman doesn't even know what's going on anymore, or you're trying to describe the fan sitting next to you what the different rules are and the different changes are and how things were back in 1985 when Don Deckinger blew a call. That was a bad call, right? And that's where you hope that like with how they have it now, like it's just that was a bad call and that got overturned and it changed. That one did change the way that World Series played out. It was the Kansas City Royals and St. Louis Cardinals, but that's not happening anymore. And I think that's right. I think it takes too long. Like I said earlier, I think it takes way too long. But I think that was a right change. But going to any more than they're doing now with the ABS, I hope they leave it. And I like I said, maybe it is such nothing burger. They haven't talked about it a lot, but I forgot about it until I read something today. It is too bad they're taking it off the screens, and I get it. It's actually quite amazing that they had that on the screens, because Major League umpires can be a little bit prickly and not want to see how many mistakes they make. So there wasn't a challenge system, right? They wouldn't want to see it up on the screen because they look around. Let's not pretend that they don't. But I think that's something they should have left on the screens for sure. But the games with the pitch clocks and on, they can't have it up there because the guy can wait before he gets in the box and then before they can challenge the pitch now. And then so it's going to be up in the concourses as well on the monitors that are all around the stadiums. So I think that's kind of a crappy thing for fans. I still haven't done speaking of crappy things, I still haven't checked into what MLB is going to charge me this year for my MLB network subscription, but we'll figure that out as time gets near. But it's going to be interesting. And watched a few things today about the Yankees. Say the Yankees. We'll get into maybe a little bit tomorrow night. I'm going to try to do one of these every night of the week this coming up during the baseball season. But I think the Yankees, I talked about it with Ryan and Connor a couple weeks ago. And the Yankees, once again, not going to bore you with the details tonight, but I think they're in a pretty good spot. I don't think that they had one of the best offense in baseball last year, and they're bringing it all back. And so it can't be a bad thing. If they can get anything out of Volpe, they'll be better off. Cole's coming back, and they went to the ALDS, sorry. So they'll be a good team again. I'm not concerned about the New York Yankees, and I think that they'll be fine. I think Toronto's got on a bit of a heater, and will they be able to do that again? I don't know. It's interesting to see that IKF Isaiah Kiner-Falefa when he's flapping his gums earlier on this week about and if he didn't slide, the Jays are winning a World Series. So IKF's probably the last guy to be making any statements about anything that happens on a baseball field. But Aaron Boone was asked earlier on about IKF's statement about who the Jays wanted to face in the ALDS, because it was Boston playing Toronto, or Boston playing New York, sorry. And IKF said to a man they wanted to be playing the Yankees instead of the Red Sox. And Boone said it best. I was actually quite surprised at Boone being as usual self as he is, and pretty pedestrian comments. Says, yeah, well, it turns out he was right, because the way the Jays manhandled the Yankees last year, and just got it done pretty quickly. So for Boone to have a little bit of fire, and it's crazy to think that Boone's going into his 9th year already with the Yankees. I mean, 2017 he took over from Girardi, and one of the greatest, I think it's still one of the best Yankee teams that didn't get to win a World Series because of the cheating scandal and everything else. But how Girardi lost his job, and it's all these years later that that Baboon's going into his 9th year. He'll go into his 10th and 11th and 12th because there's no point in changing the manager if this is the way the analytics are doing things. But we'll talk more about the Yankees tomorrow. But the state of the game of baseball is good. I hope they don't keep changing things. I hope there's no altering anything else. But I just think that they really got to take a long, hard look at this betting thing that Clase's got himself into, and hope it's not happening more around the league. So it'd be really easy to do, and it would be an absolute shame that if that it would be happening more around the great game of baseball. But betting it's a crazy thing, and no matter how wealthy you got, you want more money. And like it was not a very good financial decision. I mean, go and make from $20 million to make a $5,000 profit on a bad pitch. I don't know if I'd be making that kind of, and now he's going to be making nothing. So that's a big oops on Emmanuel Clase of the Cleveland Guardians, obviously. Anyways, there's the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, 4 Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Got Family Day pictures. Me and Deanne are going to take Bernie the Wonder Mutt down to the lake and then over to Spitz to run around a little bit. Let him get a little bit rambunctious. He actually, this is true story. I didn't hit Deanne. I never would, never crossed my mind. But she's got a pretty good black eye from Bernie the Wonder Mutt. He got her last night. They were playing on the floor, and he was trying to grab his ball or baseball, I think it was, and he clawed her right across the eyeball. Probably could have been a lot worse than it is, but she's got a bit of a shiner this morning to go for our family pictures down to the lake. But so it wasn't me. I'm telling you, it was not me. So don't point your fingers my way. Bernie the Wonder Mutt got her pretty good, but she'll persevere through. But anyways, that's it. And Mike, I love you, brother Mike. You'll get through this. We'll figure some stuff out for you and get on with the next chapter in your life. I love you, and sorry to hear about your situation here, but we're just glad it was not a lot worse than we were all kind of expecting when you first told us about your condition back in November. But it wasn't cancer, and you're going to make it through it. So anyways, that's the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, 4 Beer Sports talking a whole lot more for this Family Day 2026. Remember, everybody, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with. Have yourselves a great day, and we will talk to you again very soon.
Thanks for tuning into the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 Beer Sports talking a whole lot more, brought to you by SeatGeek. Go to bellyupsports.com for the best of sports articles and podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel or wherever it is you get your podcasts.